All right. Yesterday you reviewed some one-step equations. You reviewed if I just give you where you only need to do one operation to solve. So it's hopefully yesterday is pretty clear like which one you need to do first. It's the only one that was there. Today and moving forward, we're going to be looking at today specifically two-step equations, and then tomorrow and going forward, well, how do you solve equation that might take more than that? Like, how do we know what to do first when we're trying to solve an equation? And it comes back to this idea of your order of operations, PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiply or divide, add or subtract. And when you're simplifying, we always start at parentheses and work your way this way. When you're evaluating or simplifying on one side of an equal sign, then we'll start at any of the grouping symbols, parentheses, and simplify until we get down to the end. When we're solving, when you're trying to get x by itself, we're going to do the exact reverse of that. We'll start at this end. When you're solving for x, we'll work the reverse. So we'll undo anything at this end and undo until it's just an x or a y or whatever variable is left over. We'll undo in the reverse order. Okay.
What's the top say?
Simplifying. Okay. I say this is because once we start getting more and more steps, there might be confusing as to like which one do I want to do first. What do I need to do in what order? And it's this order, just in reverse. Okay? So like for example, there's a bunch of two-step equations below. So I need to solve, say, 5x plus 9 equals 24. What should be the first thing I want to undo? Is there anything to simplify on either side? Well, first of all, before we start solving, is there anything to simplify? Are there any like terms on any one side? No. So since there's nothing to simplify, now we'll come back and solve. So now we'll start doing some inverse operations. So what's the first thing we want to do to get x by itself here?
-9.
We'll do the adding or subtracting. We'll subtract. Undo this adding or subtracting. So we'll subtract 9 from both sides. And get 5x equals 15. So now what's the next thing we'd want to do? Divide by 5. X is 3. Okay. Same game. Let's. Is there anything to simplify on either side? No. So with no simplifying. So then we'll come back. What's the first thing we want to undo? We can undo this adding or subtracting. So let's add 4. Y, 4y equals 20. Only thing left to do would be undo this multiply. Y is 5. Okay, if you took pre-algebra at Mill Creek, then you likely did some of this last year. How about this one? What's the first? Is there anything to simplify on either side?
7.
Say no. Is there any like terms on this side of the equal sign? No. Is there any like terms on this side of the equal sign? No. So now we want to come back and start undoing. So what's the first thing we want to undo? The add or subtract. So let's undo the subtract. So we add 7 to both sides and get 6 equals z over 3. How do you undo this z over 3? How do you do this over 3? Undo dividing by multiply. So let's multiply by the denominator. And you get z is equal to 3 times 6, which is 18. Again, we'll undo adding subtracting first. That comes at the right side of PEMDAS. So we'll add 7 to both sides. Because -1 plus 7 is 6. then we'll multiply by what's being divided. Go from there. How about this one? Is there anything to simplify on either side of this equation?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can simplify 4w plus 2w. What's 4w plus 2w?
6.
So you got 6w equals 24. Oh. W is 4. Correct answer should be 5t equals 35, t equals 7. Negative 16 equals negative 4d. D equals positive 4. Would be the correct work for those two. On the reverse side, we use the words input and output. Hopefully, you recall back from chapter 1 when we talked about functions. Yes, things back in the previous time come back. We talked about functions back in chapter 1, and we used the words input and output to describe two variables. The input of a function is its domain, is its x value, and the output, what you get out from a function, is its y value. So the output of a function, or y, is 7 more than twice the input. Our equation, y is 7 more than twice the input, would be the equation. Then it says, what is the input when the output is 15? Or what is x when y is 15? So the second step is after you have this equation, then you'll plug in 15. Then you'll plug in 15 and solve for x. You need to have the first with both variables to get credit. So I'm going to ask you a question very much like this on your quiz and on your test for this chapter. When I ask for an equation, it better have both variables. Is 4 less than 4 times the x? 4 less than 4 times the x. Is this going to be 4x minus 4 or 4 minus 4x? Now find the input when the output is 3. 3 equals 4x minus 4. Solve this. Your answer will be a fraction. Do not write as a decimal. It's a lot easier to write as a fraction. You don't have to use a calculator. Leave it as an improper fraction. You'll be fine.